and they want, some house music. I'm playing hip hop that night.
Would you change the night's format for that specific
Absolutely
person?
not. Absolutely not.
Because you got to stick to the brand of the party. If the
100%.
branded party is a specific way.
But what I'll do...
Okay, I'm reloaded.
Jeff London, DJ Jason Smith.
Here come the pain.
When the sun goes down, the music turns up. A whole new world opens up behind the velvet rope. Join us as we take you behind the scenes of the nightlife world.
Are you ready?
DJ Jason Smith, Jeff London. I'm the promoter, he's the DJ podcast, live from Boston, Massachusetts.
Well, we meet again, my friend.
Episode 5.
Oh, it's episode 5. All right, cool, man. We're chugging along here.
We are.
Like a choo-choo train.
We're doing well.
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm great.
You look great.
Handsome. Tuesday, we had a little adventure.
Jeff and I went on a field trip.
Definitely
went on a field trip, yes.
So we went over to see Basquiat exhibit.
We did. It was pretty amazing.
Basquiat and the hip hop generation to the Museum of Fine Arts.
Well, we got to see it a special way, though, because of Jeff London. Pulled out some cards on that little trip.
We did take a little private tour of it.
Yeah, man, it was great.
It's in the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston. It's there till, I think, May 18th or something. It's a definite go check out.
Yeah, if you're in the Boston area, you want to see something really special, you should definitely go check out the Basquiat and hip-hop generation. It doesn't just have Basquiat stuff. It touches on street art from the beginning and takes you through that journey of where it started and what it became throughout the years. So it's definitely something to check out at the Museum of Fine Art in Boston.
Super dope pieces by Keith Haring and Lady Pink, Fab Five Freddy, and obviously Basquiat pieces.
Yeah, man. I wanted to quick touch on something we were talking about last week. So last week's question was what again? Do you remember last week's question?
Yeah, of course I remember last week's question.
My question to go along with that to you is...
Ooh.
Well, it was kind of...
We can talk about last week's question, though, if you want to talk about it.
No, it was actually a question about your story time question that kind of correlated with our question of the week. You said you wanted to be the first guy when people come in town to call to do something. So why don't you talk a little bit about how you personally in your career got to the point where... when these people come in town, they actually call you. You know what I mean? Are you the first guy they call, or are you the third?
I hope I'm the first guy. It could be the third. I think it's a few things. I think it's being reliable, okay?
Yeah.
You're the one that you answer the call. You respond to the text. Now, it's just not that person calling. It could be their manager. It could be the hotel concierge.
Oh,
it could be,
I never thought about the hotel
concierge. It could be the waiter,
yeah.
the waiter at... the hot restaurant that's going around.
That they just asked, like,
where's the hot spot?
Yeah.
So being reliable, being friendly to everybody, being open to everybody, being truthful to everybody, and making sure everybody has a good time. All those things combined make it. Oh, I can hear the dog in the background. We got a special guest, Aaliyah the dog.
Yeah, we do. It's all
you might hear her whining a little bit. I think all those factors play into the role of why people, in just the longevity of me doing it, understanding what people want. I'm not going to, somebody comes in and they want, some house music. I'm playing hip hop that night.
Would you change the night's format for that specific
Absolutely
person?
Absolutely not.
Because you got to stick to the brand of the party. If the
100%.
branded party is a specific way.
But what I'll do is I'll make sure that they go to the, special guest, that they go to the party that suits them best, because you know why? Because they're gonna say, "Yo, Jeff set me up at this place. Let me hit Jeff again and see what places this week is or this month is cool."
Now, do they correlate you with a specific genre of music? Like, a house guys in town, they would hit somebody else up, but like the hip hop artists kind of don't know to go. To you.
I would think, I would say the top 40 hip hop would be. More, I'd say that, but I'm open to I mean, I love everything. So, but yeah,
Well, like
just
me,
the clientele wise, yeah.
By the way, everybody listening and watching, we are very, very eclectic to individuals. That's for sure.
100%.
You can't put us in a box at all.
No way. But yeah, no, that's a great question.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up because
Yeah.
you just don't wake up one day and they're like hitting you. You obviously put in work and you became somebody to somebody. You became someone to somebody to make sure you
right.
were the go-to
I
guy.
think even in sports teams, it goes around the locker room. So the new guy, the new draft pick that they get, Jeff, can you show this guy around for a couple of days, show him where to eat, show him where to party, things like that. And then it trickles down. So you have generations of
that's amazing.
Of players and things like that.
That's dope.
Well, if we're talking about the last question
What's
of the
this week's question?
Let's go to this question.
Yeah, let's go. Let's keep it moving.
All right. So once again, we appreciate everybody sending in your questions to I'm the promoter, he's the DJ. We enjoy
Instagram, right?
Yep. On Instagram, yeah.
That's
Or
where we
you can
take
email us
Yeah.
at Gmail.
Yep.
I'm the promoter, he's the DJ at Gmail. Whatever, text me, whatever question you have. Really enjoying the questions. We got a good one this week.
Okay, let's go.
The importance of learning the past of music in the history of clubs. With the quote from John Lewis Goddess, we know the future only by the past we project into it. How important, Jason, is it to know the past, the history of music, and I'll speak on the clubs, you can as well, to further your career knowing the past?
Well, that's a great question.
It's a loaded one.
It is. Well, the thing is about like hip hop music, we can trace it back to the roots. A lot of other genres, you can't. It gets a little tricky. Like rock and roll, was it the Beatles or was it some other person? There's a lot of people that said they started rock and roll. You know what I mean? So we know exactly where this genre of hip hop music came from. The roots of it came from the Bronx. Actually, you know what I mean? And that's a tough question because a lot of the artists that I'm going to speak specifically on hip hop because I think that's the best way to take this one, because a rock artist, for instance, is going to be inspired by another rock artist. Right. So these hip hop kids that are putting out these trap records now and coming up with their own things, they aren't really following. They aren't inspired by a Nas. They probably don't even know who a Nas is. But if you ask a drummer from a modern day rock band right now who John Bonham is, he's going to tell you who John Bonham is.
Right.
And it might be it also might be a thing about where you come from. So like a lot of these artists that are popping off right now are from, the South. So why would they know a Nas or anything like that? Because that's not what they grew up on. Because to them, that's might as well be like Grandmaster Flash in like that 80s era hip hop. That's what it is to them. Like our 80s era hip hop is now they're like Nelly. Like that's like that's like to us, that's where hip hop went to. Because we were speaking about this at the museum the other day when we touched upon how without hip hop music, people wouldn't know what's actually going on in the streets. It's very important. Hip-hop music started as a way to tell a story about what's actually happening that you're not seeing on the news.
Right.
You know what I mean? So in order to pay homage, a lot of these artists in this business, unfortunately, right now don't really know the roots of a genre like they should. And it could be traced back. So it's unfortunate that they don't, but I'm not mad at them if they don't, because they're kind of creating something on it. Like the Migos are dope.
Right.
They created a specific sound that nobody else created. But now
it's being copied and things like
dude,
that.
I don't need to hear that flow from like everybody. You know what I mean? Like, yo, be creative. That's why, Jeff, there is no such thing as longevity in this business. You look at an artist like the Migos, they're still popping because they created something. Every artist that came in and tried to copy that, their flow, they had one hot song and that was it.
Right.
And there's no longevity.
Now,
yeah,
you talked on music. How important it is in the world of DJing to know the history
of music.
of music. Yeah.
Well, it's very important because, again, anybody could DJ. That's not what the art form is.
Mm-hmm.
My mother could DJ.
Yep.
The art form that can't be copied and can't be seen, we spoke about this before, is the fact that you have to be able to read a room.
Right.
A computer can't do that. Somebody that's fresh out the box, you have to know, all right, this song worked. All right, so if this song worked, this next song's going to work.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't just turn into a robot where you're playing A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Mm-hmm.
Try some different things. It's not always going to work. Like, for instance, I play Led Zeppelin in the middle of a hip-hop night.
Right.
Some people might know it, and they go nuts. A few might not know it. Cool. But I took that chance to be different, and that's how I've been able to stay in this business so long, because I take those chances.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just don't play kitty cutter, like cake cut, like
Right,
pieces of a puzzle. You know what I mean? I just, you could hear me every night of the week, and it's going to be a totally different thing.
I like that.
And it's not only for the people; it's also for me. Like, why do I want to come in and play the same 5 songs?
Right, yeah. It gets so repetitive, it gets boring, and then it's not fun, and the enjoyment goes out.
It's like
and then
working at a factory.
Right.
You're making the same toy every day. Repetitiveness, then it becomes work.
Yeah.
This isn't a work for me. This is a way for me to express myself using other people's music.
I like it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which I respect that. And what was the club part of it?
So the importance of learning the history of nightclubs and things like that.
That's a tricky question, too, because a lot of clubs don't have longevity like that.
Yeah, I can go on that one. I can tell, like,
I think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off before, because I know you're going to be this, you're going to have an awesome answer for this. My thing was, it correlates with last week's question, too. If your club has a lot of longevity and it's a place that has a strong name, then it's important to know what venues you're playing, yes.
Absolutely.
And the history of it.
Right.
You know, I used to DJ at, I think it was Nell's, and it was on 14th Street, I think. I think it was Nell's. Nell's, yeah. One of my first DJ gigs in New York, I was opening up for D Nice.
Shout out to D Nice.
Shout out my brother D Nice. He's killing it right now. My computer got fucked up, and Nell's is now up and down. You know what I mean? That's always been a club. So my computer fucked up. I had to go to the Apple store in the middle of this gig. Dude.
Oh, man.
I come back, and D Nice is like, yo, I got to bounce. And I was like, cool. You good? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. He goes, yo, Rakim's about to perform right now.
Unbelievable.
I go, what?
The legend.
He goes, Rakim's going to perform. You have to DJ for him. I'm leaving. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know what records rock?
Right.
It's like I'm so green in this new city. You know, I lived in New York my whole life, but I moved to New York when I was like 24, and I was there for a long, long time. And D Nice just stayed there for another 10 minutes, just telling me fire off these records, he'll go. And he did. So
that's awesome.
That's the only history, you know the history, because if it's in a legendary place like that, or
a legend like Rakim comes up, you have to know his records. You have to know the history. Yeah,
you do, man, you do. So what is knowing the history of clubs for you?
Well, I think it's a couple different things. I think knowing the history of clubs helps you move, as the quote says, moving towards the future. What works in terms of clubs? Now, clubs used to be no VIP, just dance floor.
But there always was a VIP section.
But bottle service.
But no bottle service.
Yeah.
And that was actually way cooler. Because people were forced to have fun.
Exactly.
And not look cool.
Exactly.
The cool guys were the real guys that were like, don't want to be actually seen.
Right.
That's why it was VIP.
Yeah. So if we go back to, Avalon on Lansdowne Street, they had Avalon Boston, Avalon New York, Avalon, which used to be Limelight, Avalon Hollywood.
Yeah. I played
the
Avalon,
VIP. The VIP in Avalon in Boston was on the second floor, away from everybody, so you couldn't even go up there. So you just overlooked the dance floor. So the people on the dance floor weren't even looking at things.
But that made people want to get in that place. People want to be where they can't go.
Exactly.
So they want to get in that VIP so bad, dude.
I think studying the history of clubs and how to make clubs better. I think you look at certain things. I think from the times where Limelight was multi-room place where they had different DJs.
Limelight, the Spider Room, all that
Spider
stuff.
Room,
Yep.
absolutely like that. I think knowing the history, it doesn't.
But that was like a special place though. Like,
that was a very special place.
For the people that don't understand, there was a DJ in the bathroom. I think they probably had like 6 or 7 DJs on a night.
I'm sure
at one time throughout the whole place.
But I think and just going back to that is knowing the place, knowing the history. But this is for more like promoters and things like that. You got to know your history and what worked in that time frame.
Yeah.
A place like Limelight would not be able to work right now because of bottle service and things like that. But knowing that, is the future going to come around again to where it's no more VIP in dance floors and stuff like that? Would you know how to do? Yeah, that's a tough.
Yeah.
That might be next. Yeah. We could discuss that next time. But I think knowing all that information helps you come up with ideas for the future, knowing the past and know what works and what doesn't work. You could open a massive club right now with a massive dance floor and spend $10 million in it, and it wouldn't work. It will flop. You have to know what works and what doesn't work.
Not only that, but it's like remixing the past.
Right.
There's a reason why XYZ worked 20 years ago.
Right.
Now it might work again because everything goes in a circle like music.
Exactly.
Reggae's hot right now. In a few years, it'll go away.
Right.
A few years after that, it'll come back.
I mean,
it's always a circle.
Yeah, I mean, EDM was so big, and there was no hip hop clubs, and now it's all hip hop and less EDM.
But that's definitely what it is, man. And you don't copy the past per se, but you just you take inspiration from it and create something new from it.
Absolutely.
Like all my mixes, I love. Blend CDs back in the day were my favorite mixtapes. I didn't really buy, I bought like the Clues and stuff. We're talking about mixtapes and stuff. And there was one DJ, Ron G. Shout out Ron G. Was always doing blend tapes.
Yeah.
And that has taken me to making remixes like I do now.
Right,
you know what I mean? It's just a full circle of things work for a specific reason.
Absolutely. And I think some of the things that people can do is read. There's so many documentaries out right now. You're reading the Rodigan book.
Yeah.
David
Jeff
Rodigan.
David Rodigan shit.
Yeah. It's called My Life in Reggae. He's one of the original selectors. Unbelievable DJ.
With an unbelievable history.
Unbelievable. He's been
music.
decades. Peter Gation, the owner of one of the biggest group of nightclubs ever in New York City.
Party USA. Tunnel.
Limelight, yeah. He has a book out called King of Clubs. Unbelievable.
Is that the picture book, or is that Peter's book?
No, that's Peter's book. The picture book, which is unbelievable, is by Walt Paper, one of the club kids. It's called New York Club Kids. It's an amazing book of pictures from that era.
Yeah, I want to check that one out. Jeff and I off air have been talking about this New York Club Kids book for a minute.
Yeah. And then any book by Questlove. Quest is just a legend.
Quest is
his books are really good.
I got some news. He just got hired to do the music for the Oscars.
Really?
Yeah, it just came up today. He got hired to be the music director for the Oscars this year.
Oh wow,
that's crazy.
That's
bro.
pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean he's an absolute legend.
And the reason why he's a legend is Jeff because he knows the history of music.
He knows more than history. He knows every single thing about music.
I watched a Red Bull interview with him the other day, and he says he tries to listen to 100 new songs a day.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Just think about that, how busy this cat is, and he listens to, his goal is 100 new songs a day.
Wow.
Dude.
Yeah. And then we can talk about documentaries, but there are so many great ones about music.
Well,
yeah.
the reason is right now, too, is because we are still not back to work fully yet, so we have actually this time to dig a little deeper into documentaries.
Hip Hop Undercover.
Well, Hip Hop Undercover's new. It's fresh. That's a new thing. It's on FX.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some good
movies. It's
movie.
on Hulu. You guys should check that out. It's called Hip Hop Undercover. It's about the correlation of drug dealers and street cats, how they got into the music business and actually control. We're talking about cats behind the scenes, not artists. We're talking about how street cats and hustlers took what they learned in the street selling drugs to the hip hop. What am I trying to say? The music industry. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many documentaries out there. Yeah, basically, learn your history. DJs, learn your history.
There's a reason for it. And it can make you such a better DJ.
Exactly.
And on that note, I guess it's time for
story time.
Let's go.
Gather around, kids. It's story time with Uncle Jeff. The names have been left out to protect the guilty.
Now, here's a little story I got to tell.
All right, Jeff. It's that time, man.
Story time with Uncle Jeff.
Story time, dude. Let me know what's going on. I love this part because I have told Jeff off the air, please do not tell me the stories in advance because I want to be just as excited as our listeners are. So hit me off, dude.
All right. So this story is about being the sixth man. Now, the sixth man in basketball.
Is he the guy that like cheers on the sideline a lot?
There's 5 starters in basketball.
I'm not a sports guy, Jeff.
I'll give it to you. There's 5 starters. This guy's the first off the bench. This guy's the one that helps out the team. He gets a lot of minutes. Yeah, he's like
he digs him out of the ditch, but he's just not a starter.
Exactly.
He's like that. He's like the nitro in a car.
He's the one that comes in when I like that analogy. Wow, buddy. Wow. All right. So this story goes. Celtics are in the playoffs.
Okay.
Tough series against this team. Real tough. Might be going into this series went to Game 7. I don't know if it was Game 7 game.
I mean, that's like the most exciting. I don't know sports, but I know what a Game 7 means.
Yeah. So, the night before the game.
Night before Game 7.
It might have been Game 7. It might have been Game 5. I'm not positive.
Regardless.
Huge playoff game.
The night before a game this is going down.
Less than 24 hours before the game. An international player.
Okay.
Starter on the other team comes in.
The opposing team from the South, whoever Celtics were playing in the playoff. Okay.
Comes in. And I couldn't believe that this guy was coming in less than 24 hours before the game. Anyway, Kof set him up. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can to help my team. I want to be the sixth man to help my team win. I can't
get this guy wasted, so he's hungover so bad the next day, right?
I can't trip the guy. I can't hurt the guy. That's just wrong.
That was a Tanya Harding. You can't Tanya Harding him?
I can't Tanya Harding this guy. International player. Got him in the VIP. He's having a good time. Surround him with some local people. Some girls come up, hanging with him. They know who he is. This guy's, tall. International, famous player. Get some, I think it was Ezra, DJ Hectic, Riz, Ace, myself, start getting him rounds of vodka shots with all the girls who want to party too.
Yeah.
So he's not going to say no to a round of shots while all the girls are doing shots. 1 round of vodka, 2 rounds of vodka, 3 rounds. Unlimited rounds of vodka.
Yeah. Was he Russian? Was he Russian or just European?
He's not actually. He's not Russian. He's not Russian.
All right, he's just an international player.
He's an international player. Yeah. I don't want to get. I mean,
we have to keep this on. We got to keep it really low key over here.
This guy gets annihilated, wasted, but having a blast.
That's pretty amazing.
Leaves at 2 a.m. That year, I went to. I think I went to the game.
The next day,
I went to the game. I said, "I'll see you at the game." Talk to him. The tickets that I had with my friends were right behind the.
He's like, "Don't worry, I'll give you tickets." He's like, "Nah, that's all right. I'm good. Thanks."
So the place was going nuts. It's like,
that's it.
The tip off comes.
Yeah.
The tip off. The ball goes to this guy.
Yeah.
He takes the ball and he throws a pass to nobody and right out of bounds on the first play of the game.
I thought you were going to say he threw up or something.
No, and I looked at my friend and I was like,
Yep, that's me. I'm the sixth man.
I'm the sixth man. And that's story time with Jeff.
Yeah, that's amazing, bro. Yes.
Gather around, kids. It's story time with Uncle Jeff. The names have been left out to protect the guilty.
Now, here's a little story I got to tell.
Wait, hold up. Did the Celtics win that game though?
The Celtics won.
All right, cool. Then you played your part, bro.
I played my part.
Oh my God, I would have been laughing so hard if I saw that, bro. Like this guy just like, I mean, I don't know sports that well, but I know it's probably not that hard to make the first pass when there's nobody in coverage just yet.
No. Yeah, it was straight out of bounds. I think he's still seeing double from the night before.
That's amazing.
So
dude. Cool, man. Let's get into some positive news,
all right,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I always say, we got enough negative news out there. If you're new to the channel, we supply you with the Positive News Network. And Jeff, what's this week's positive news,
So
friend?
this week's positive news is finally recognizing hip-hop artists in New York City with streets named after them.
Yeah, uh-huh.
You know, I just saw last week, so Big Pun not only has a street.
That just happened within the past few days,
Yeah,
right? Uh-huh.
not only a street, it's Big Pun Plaza. So, which is amazing because if
That
you've
is
ever seen
amazing.
Big Pun, he's the
I
size of a
actually
plaza.
did.
Size
I
of a
saw him
plaza.
once.
Is he the size of a plaza?
Dude.
He's a big boy. He was a big boy. Rest in
Quick
peace.
story. It was
Big
like
Pun.
it was Jay-Z, Beat Nuts, Big Pun, Fat Joe, right? And Fat Man Scoop. Shout out my brother, Fat Man Scoop. We'll be hearing from him soon. So when an artist, we all know when you go to a concert, an artist does the show and they just do the raps.
Right.
Pun was a little bit of a different story. He could only do so much. And his cadence is always like so rapidly fast.
Right.
So it takes a lot for a big man to, you know, he's always breathing. So Pun couldn't do shows on his own. It had to be, you couldn't book Pun.
Right.
You had to book Fat Joe and Pun.
Yes.
So Pun would do a record. He would go backstage, sit down,
Suck
and
some
Fat
oxygen.
Joe would
Yeah.
do the next song.
Wow.
And at one point, Big Pun couldn't even, he was just sitting on a bar stool. It was crazy, bro.
But he was a legend.
Oh, one of the greatest. And it was so sad to hear of his passing. You know, it just sucked. Another one lost way too early, man.
So what happened was 2010 when he passed, his family tried to get a street in the Bronx named after him where he's from.
Yeah. Oh, they've been trying to do this
They've
for a
been
long
trying to
time.
do this for a while.
See, I
2000.
didn't know how that worked.
Yeah, 2013, community members rejected a petition for naming a street after Biggie. He finally got one.
Yeah, he did.
The first one was actually 2009 with Run DMC, Jam Master Jay in Queens.
Yeah, when he was murdered. Yep.
And then things changed in 2015. They started to do a lot more. The underground rapper Pumpkinhead had a street named
I didn't
after
know
him.
that.
Yeah. Followed by Phife Dawg in 2016. Wu-Tang has one. Scott LaRock of Boogie Down Productions. Kool Herc got Hip Hop Boulevard.
Well,
And
that's where I think they're going to do the hip hop museum.
that'll be awesome.
Yeah, they're going to do it up in the Bronx.
Fred the Godson, who
I think
passed away
Sedgwick Boulevard, yeah.
and Fred the Godson, who recently passed COVID, got one as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, you're missing one. They did Tribe Called Quest.
I just
one,
said
too.
Phife Dawg.
Oh, there was a Tribe Called Quest
Oh,
one,
wow.
too.
I
Yeah.
missed that one.
Fife had his own one, yeah.
Wow, so they got it. So
It's in Queens, near Linden Boulevard, of course. The Tribe Called Quest one. That was a few years ago because I was trying to go, and it was like a shitty rainy day.
yeah.
And like it was just not happening.
It's not happening.
Unfortunately, because I wanted to be a part of history like that. It was, you know.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing now that they're recognizing a lot of hip hop artists in New York City where they haven't before.
It is
and
amazing.
It's amazing. It's where hip hop started, and I think it should be recognized.
It's got to be recognized for sure. Touching back on that, there wasn't a graffiti artist or something that would go around and like he would go to Queensbridge. Where like that for people listening and watching. Queensbridge is where Nas came from. Mobb Deep, Scott LaRock. Was it? No, Scott LaRock. It was MC Shan came from there. Large Professor. A lot of artists came out of Queens projects. This artist or the city. I don't know if the city attached. I can't. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know the facts behind it. I don't know if it was just a graffiti artist doing this,
Right.
or the city had something to do with it. But they were making signs of actual verses from that artist and putting them in place where they were talking about.
Wow.
So Mobb Deep would always talk about 41st Side. So if you look on a signpost, sometimes you'll see like a street sign, not a street sign, but like a parking sign,
right? Like
that shape, like a rectangle, and it'll have a verse on there.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
And they put them throughout the city like that.
That's
I'm sure if you looked it up online and Googled it, they still exist, and you could like maybe tour them, go from one sign to the other. And to
Is that our next field trip?
Yeah, man. Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. It's a way to give back. It's a way to teach. Again, reflecting back to the first question we had today, it's a way to teach the young about this art form
and about history.
This art form was shoved under a rug and hidden for so many years. You know what I mean? And now seeing it accepted by the media and the government is such a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Really beautiful.
So that's this week's positive news.
Yeah, man.
Once again, thank you. You can find Jason on
Instagram at Jason Smith Music.
And you can find me at Jeff London _. And
I would always say his, but he just changed his. So say it again so everybody knows.
At Jeff London _. And you can find us. I'm the promoter. He's a DJ on all social media. Like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends.
And email us at I'm the promoter, he's the DJ at gmail.com.
You got it.
We'll see y'all next week, y'all. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, I'm reloading.
Jeff London, DJ Jason.